All right, folks, welcome back to the Crisis Report. This one is called Bitcoin Crashing and Cuba Collapsing because, well, both are kind of going that way. Yes. Whether you, I don't know, everybody's different definition of crashing and collapsing is different. So but I'm going to read you some numbers that are going to be pretty darn crashy. So we're going to get into all that. We are brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. We appreciate you being here. We hope you will check out the links in the description. We hope you will consider becoming a member here, like Water Tiger and others, to help the cause of the most comprehensive news on YouTube. We're doing quite well on Substack. Been bouncing around 350 on X or whatever. X, I broadcast this as well there. So you want to go there, cool. If not, I don't know. I've never been a super X guy or Twitter or whatever, but I do find a lot of useful information on there. So if you are not joining me on X, all I do is basically this broadcast and then put up some, picture like the one I did earlier today. You might find that one to be interesting and true. But yeah, am I there all day long? No, I'm not. So that's why we do this. We do this so you don't have to be here all day long. You can get your news in about 10 minutes in the afternoon with the alert, and then about 20 minutes in the evening with the full-on crisis report, because I know you're busy and you shouldn't be sitting there jacking around online all day anyway. No one should. You should be out living your life, doing things, and preparing for what I could say is a pretty rough go of things coming. So let's get started with your crisis report. We appreciate you being here. Share this sucker out real quick. Bada bing, bada boom. Yeah, if you are not on Substack, you can get this all in your inbox for free. Some people pay. I know everybody's broke. I do. And, there's part of me that's like, man, you put a lot of work into this. Why don't you just charge people? If you believe that I'm doing something that you have a little bit of extra something for and you think it's worth it, that's great. If you don't, I totally get it. Everybody's fighting right now. This is a side hustle for me. So, other than that, if you are on YouTube and you're like, I like what he does, but I don't really have that much money, and let a couple of commercials play through. It's weird because it will reflect that. I know that does work. So if you are so inclined and you're like, I like the guy, but it's really tough right now, blah blah blah. Let a commercial play. Just let it play through. Okay. All right. Let's get started on your crisis report for February 5th, 2026. We appreciate you being here. Cuba collapsing. Crash. Bitcoin happening. Here we go. Candace Owens reveals that Erica Kirk, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Ben Shapiro, everybody's favorites, were scheduled to film content together in Palm Beach, but it was canceled at the last minute very recently. I don't know. That whole thing is so beyond me and whatever. I read that and I'm like, okay, it doesn't affect my life, to be honest with you. Now I know there's things that they're doing, especially a certain blue and white star country from the Middle East, that affect my life, but nothing I can do about it. So we say bush. I'm bringing that back instead of the jackass that doesn't like and goes shove it where the sun don't shine. All right. Speaking of which, election officials confirm Valentina Gomez voter registration has been suspended after she registered using an illegal P.O. box. Can't do that. WEF investigates its CEO to clarify his relationship with the Jeff Steen. Bear Independent said that. I like it. 35 countries, including the U.S. and China, out of the 85 attending, opt out of signing the Joint Declaration Pledge on Responsible Military AI Use at the REAIM Summit. So we look forward to cyborgs, Terminators, and other things. I look forward to that kind of a future. I'm sitting in a shelled out sewer system watching a burning TV as I hunt down rats for a little midnight taste. Reporter, is the president still committed to deportations of the 20 million illegals that came here under the Joe Levitt said, yes, the president has always been committed to that, John, but we must prioritize. And the prioritization is on those tens of thousands of convicted criminals whom we know are still roaming our streets. Trump RX is launched, offering credits for weight loss shots, pills, and other drugs, projecting a loss of 100 million pounds of American fat in 2026. Let's go, big backs. Federal Judge Indira Talwani orders the IRS to stop sharing taxpayer data with ICE. U.S. Embassy warns citizens to, quote, leave Iran now, end quote. That is ir.usembassy.gov. It's a digital one, but it's saying GTFO. Israeli media reports that the Israeli assessment is that the U.S. may soon present Iran with an ultimatum of agreement to U.S. terms or war. CBS is reporting that an unidentified person was seen entering Jeffrey Epstein's jail tier. That just reduced my views by a quarter at approximately 10:39 p.m. on the night of his death, according to newly released DOJ video footage. Never reported on any official accounts or reports until now. Hillary Clinton on X said, for 6 months we engaged in Republicans' oversight committee in good faith. We told them what we know under oath. They ignored all of it. They moved the goalpost, turned accountability into an exercise in distraction. So let's stop the games. If you want this fight, Representative James Comer, let's have it in public. You love to talk about transparency. There's nothing more transparent than a public hearing, cameras on. We will be there. Let's go. Australia charges a teenager over alleged death threats to Israeli President Herzog. Australian teenager has been charged for allegedly making online death threats against President Isaac Herzog of Israel ahead of his upcoming visit to Australia. 19-year-old man allegedly made the threats on a social media platform last month towards a foreign head of state and internationally protected person, according to Australian federal police. 19-year-old suspect can potentially be sentenced to 10 years in prison. He was referred bail and is currently locked up as Israeli President Isaac Herzog is going to make an official visit to the site of the Bondi Beach shooting and speak with survivors and the families of victims. Doubler. French MPs are considering granting voting rights to non-EU citizens in municipal elections, because why not, right? Giving foreign nationals the right to vote is a long-standing desire of the left to mask its failures and expand its voter base. Why? Because they're idiots, like all of us, because we keep voting for these fools. February 4th, French National Assembly Legal Commission adopted a constitutional bill aimed at granting non-EU foreigners residing in France the right to vote, stand for election in municipal elections. The bill is scheduled to be debated in plenary session on February 12th, where I'm sure it'll get shoved down their friggin' throats. Right of foreigners to vote in the local elections is a long-standing demand of the left. Since 1992, European Union nationals residing in a member state of which they are not nationals have been able to vote and stand as candidates in the state and municipal elections and in elections in European Parliament, but reform proposed in the initiative would this time apply to foreigners from outside the European Union. It is due to be examined by MPs on February 12th during the Greens Parliamentary Initiative Day. 6 million people would be affected by the reform who would participate in the daily life of our cities, local taxes, send children to our schools, contribute to our economy, take our money. Arguments put forward by the MPs behind the proposal. Proposal would also grant non-European foreigners the right to be eligible for the position of a municipal councillor, although they would still be barred from becoming mayor. So that's great. Go work on the city council. Let's say you're from China. Be great. Because Lord knows you're going to do things in the, at the behest of the local country, not the one at home that you're originally from, right, Jenner? Hmm. It's gonna go great. Hey, look at that! Britain's countryside is going to be less white under government's nationwide diversity plans because it's our strength. Rural officials across England have signed up to plans aimed at making the British countryside more ethnically diverse under a wide ranging initiative coordinated by the Department of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, or DEFRA. Protected landscapes across the country, including the Chilterns, Cotswolds, and Chilterns, Cotswolds, and Malvern Hills, have adopted diversity targets designed to attract more ethnic minority visitors to areas traditionally dominated by the white middle class Britons. Push follows DEFRA commissioned research warning that Britain's natural heritage risks becoming irrelevant as the country grows increasingly all over the place. Internal reports described rural England as a largely white environment and urged urgent action to broaden its appeal. Recruitment drives will prioritize increasing workforce diversity, while promotional materials will feature ethnic minority individuals and be translated into multiple languages. Just looking at the beautiful city of London and all the boxes where you can turn in your stabbatings. Um, hey, it's going to go great. It's going to go great. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has arrived in Muscat, Oman, ahead of nuclear talks with the U.S. tomorrow. Economist says Trump's Don Roe doctrine aims for a Western Hemisphere free of hostile foreign incursion or ownership of key assets, with Panama as a blueprint, early indicator of success. Hard to imagine that any of this would have happened without the pressure applied by the United States. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the United States was encouraged by the decision, but new risks loom for Panama. Panamanians are angered by the unavoidable impression that their government and legal system are dancing to Mr. Trump's tune. China has other ways to hit back. It might decide to put limits on Panamanian flag ships, cut infrastructure financing to the country, or push ahead with developing alternative transoceanic trade routes. And there it talks about Nicolas Maduro. It talks about Tomas Sucre Ulloa, Panamanian lawyer, and other people who are, Cuba leaders are digging in, vowing to resist Trump's pressure. This is a long one, so we're not going to do the whole thing. But they're saying that the oil blockade is hurting the country immensely, which, it's supposed to do. So you can look at this a couple ways. You can be like, oh my gosh, the Trump administration is terrible. They are trying to keep people from getting their food. Or you could be like, hey, communism really doesn't work, and the government's already a corrupt POS, and whatever we can do to get them out of the way and rebuild the country would be good. So I'm not sure which side you're on. I'm just gonna tell you all about it. But there's an imperial mindset, but not in the mindset of the Cubans, he said. I know we are going to live through the difficult times, but we will overcome them, whether with creative resilience. Rare press at conference. I guess he doesn't talk to people. Wonder why. Cuba's economy has been in free fall in recent years. Country is already going through its worst economic crisis before Trump moved to cut oil supplies to the island in an effort to bring the Cuban government to the negotiating table. But Diaz-Canel signaled his government would not make political changes, preparing instead to resist at all costs. Goes on from there. Said government will try to get oil from foreign suppliers. Also said the government has updated its defense plans, which do they even have a defense plan? They call Trump criminal, vulgar, and inhumane. So sounds like he's at an ICE protest. Representative Ilhan Omar said that labeling Cuba as a national security threat is a lie used to justify economic war. The goal is to crush the Cuban people, manufacture humanitarian catastrophe, and force regime change at any cost. It's unconscionable and cruel. We must stop it, she said. It's not like it's an island state that's only about 90 miles south of Florida. Where can you imagine if they like put missiles on there? If like say a foreign country like I don't know Russia were to go there and to start to install like MRBMs or things like that. I mean, it'd only be like 15 minutes to hit Washington from that island state just south. Can you imagine if there was a crisis like over the missiles, if they were to be placed in Cuba? Hey, but it's Cuba. They're sweet, nice people. Yep. U.S. Department of State Consular Affairs says Cuba's national electrical grid is increasingly unstable, and prolonged scheduled and unscheduled power outages are a daily occurrence across the country, to include Havana, Now. Also, a shortage of fuel affecting transportation, long lines of gas stations, businesses, hotels, hospitals, generators, power outages. All this is getting the short end of the stick. Due to fuel shortages, taking precautions to conserve fuel, water, food, and mobile phone charge and be prepared for significant disruption. So basically, become a prepper. U.S. citizens in Cuba are planning to travel to Cuba. If you're planning to travel to Cuba, you're advised that there's been incidents of U.S. citizens being denied entry upon arrival. I wonder why. I'm sure it's all going to work out. Mexican officials are evaluating how to send fuel to Cuba, help meet basic needs, electricity, transportation without triggering reprisals from Washington, threaten tariffs against Mexico for supplying oil to the Caribbean country. UN warns of a humanitarian collapse in Cuba. U.S. is seeking to block oil supplies. Energy is needed. It's not being met. Fuel shortages, rising costs. America threatening to block all oil supplies and all the other stuff that we've just gotten through and read. Cuba's main supplier, Mexico, is saying, hey, we'd like to, but we can't. All expressed concerns over U.S. tariffs, working to maintain shipments while seeking a deal with Washington. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel accused the United States of trying to suffocate Cuba's economy, while U.S. President Donald Trump called Cuba an unusual and extraordinary threat. Is the president still committed to deportations of 20 million illegals brought here by Joe Biden? Levitt, yes, and the president has always been committed to that. John, we prioritize the prioritization of the priorities, of the prioritization of the prioritizing of those tens of millions of thousands of millions of tens of thousands of convicted criminals whom we all know are still roaming our streets. RFK Jr. says Dr. Chris Palmer from Harvard has cured schizophrenia using keto diet. Sausage. U.S. and Russian militaries are resuming high-level talks after more than 4 years, which could be a step towards normalizing relations between Washington and Moscow. But how do we get our big friggin' war, right? We need a big war. Got to reset the deck. FBI announces $50,000 reward for info leading to the recovery of Nancy Guthrie. She is the mother of Savannah, Virginia. I forget her name. I don't watch her, but she's on one of the MSDNC, NBC channels. I guess she's like a news reader. But her mom was taken, and there's foul play involved, which is terrible. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said, we have seen the Iranian leadership wiring money out of the country like crazy. Rats are leaving the ship. This is a good sign that they know the end may be near. Trump said, rather than extend New START, badly negotiated deal by the U.S., that aside from everything else being grossly violated, we should have our nuclear experts work on a new, improved, and modernized treaty that goes long into the future. I agree. Bessent says, we created a dollar shortage in the country. It came in a swift conclusion. I would say the culmination came in December when one of the largest banks in Iran went under in the bank run. Central bank had to print money. The Iranian currency went into free fall. Inflation exploded, and as a result, we've seen the Iranian people out on the streets. That's pretty much a summary. Islamists have murdered more than 170 people in Kwara State, Nigerian, refusing Sharia law, because I'm sure that everybody knows about this story, right? Well, Craig Whitlock, thanks for being a member, bud. Membership. It helps. 170 people were murdered in Kwara State. They refused to accept Sharia law. Jihadis invaded the community near the border with Niger, demanded that all villagers must embrace Sharia law when they bad things. Residents were rounded up with their hands bound and their backs behind their backs, before being unalived, according to local lawmaker Saida Baba Ahmed. Westwood, Los Angeles. Multiple people were killed and others injured after a car drove into a store. Emergency response is ongoing. I want to check this one out just a little bit more. Just going to put in Westwood. Let's go to the news and see more on this. 3 dead, 6 injured when a car crashed into a Los Angeles supermarket. 99 Ranch Market in Westwood. Terrible. It's another day in Los Angeles. I love LA. We love it. Ding, 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 ding. I love LA. United States just issued a security alert regarding Iran, and it's urging all of its citizens to GTFO immediately. U.S. has published a security alert regarding Cuba due to the rising incidence of blackouts, lack of fuel, regime-sponsored activity against the U.S. Full statement follows. I'm not going to read all that, but we've gone over it. Cuba's in free fall. There's bad things going on, so get ready for that sucker to be on everybody's minds and their videos and everything else in about 36 hours. Because we get it first. U.S. Southcom announced a new strike against an alleged narco vessel. Second known strike since Maduro ousting. 2 alleged narco terrorists were killed. Full statement. Southcom Commander General Francis L. Donovan, Joint Task Force Southern Spear, conducted lethal kinetic strike on a vessel operated by a designated terrorist organization, or a DTO. Intelligence confirmed the vessel was transiting along known narco-trafficking routes east Pacific. Engaged in a narco-trafficking operation, 2 narco-terrorists were killed during this action. No U.S. military forces were harmed, according to Secretary of War, Department of War, and the Operation Southern Spear. Hoo-ah! So the whole crypto crash, Bitcoin death thing. Let's just give you some U.S. stock. It's not collapsing. You guys are you're so doomy. You're so negative. You're so oh really? Well, strategy has gone down by 80%. This is they're down from recent highs by 80%. Coinbase down 66%. Netflix down 40%. Palantir down 36%. AMD down 27%. Microsoft, hi Bill, down 27%. Broadcom down 25%. Tesla down 20%. Nvidia down 18%, and Meta down 17%. Trump endorses Japan's Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi ahead of the Sunday election. WTI crude oil ETF CRUD posted $217 million in inflows Tuesday, largest daily intake since 2020 Ronademic. Also the second highest inflow on the record, doubling anywhere. The daily high seen over the last fight. Can you imagine if you had insider information and you knew to get into crude oil right now before, say, I don't know, something kind of exploded in the Middle East? You'd be a little bit of a clairvoyant. Another 1.4 billion worth of levered crypto positions has been liquidated over the last 24 hours. Total of 8.5 billion worth of levered positions liquidated since January 28th. Bye-bye. Another 1. Yep, that's doubler. Bitcoin has fallen below 66,000 for the first time since October 2024. Is now down $11,000 this week alone, beginning to feel like emotional selling. Down 64, now down 9,000 on the day. Pressure accelerating. Crypto market losing officially has exceeded $300 billion for the day, tracked for the biggest daily drop since October 10th liquidation. $2 billion worth of levered positions has been liquidated in 24 hours. Bitcoin is at $62,000 right now. Amazon stock fallen 10%. Quarter four reporting earnings down. 15% on the day, it's down. Everything down, going down. Now, 59% chance that Bitcoin will fall below 50 grand this year per Polymarket. Alternative data showing further weakness in the U.S. job market. LinkUp estimates show the U.S. economy lost 25,000 jobs in January. LinkUp uses a data set of real-time job postings sourced directly from company websites nationwide. This would mark the fourth monthly contraction ever. Or over, sorry. So that, my friends, is your crisis report. So, there it is. Stay doomy. Yep, I'm just checking out, seeing there. How you doing? How many earthquakes Cali is having? I don't know. I'm sure there's a few. Devil's busy. Yes, he is. Wait, it might be her. We don't know. Yep. So that's your crisis report. So, friends, if you hit that like button, do all that, and whatever, that'd be great. Please consider membership. Honestly, folks, it's like paying a vig to the Borgarino. Okay, the more vigs he gets, the more I get put out there, and so, yeah. Other than that, I mean, everything's hunky dory. We're great. So if you own Bitcoin, I mean, I'm sure none of you do. I don't know. I don't know a single person that owns Bitcoin. Ooh, let's look at silver. Let's look at silver. Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band. Yep, down 6%, down to $72. I hope it goes down to 50. I do. At that point, bye bye, Mamacita, bye bye. Goodbye. Let's look at gold, also known as oro. That one's down to 48.36. So, yeah. Yep. There you have it. All right, friends. That's your crisis report. Yeah. Awesome. Hit the like button, do the subscribe thing, dog out the bell like Tim Pool. Doesn't really matter. Just keep coming back for more. Tell people about this. Join me on Substack, okay? Seriously. I want to get to 7. I'm almost 650 subscribers now over there. It's going up, 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 up. So strange. It's almost like it doesn't have an algorithm. Other than that, friends, God bless you all, and we'll see you on the next one, okay? Yeah. Links in the description. God Minds Truth, Twitter X. Subscribe to our locals, Substack. Yep, that's it. All right, friends. God bless you all, and we will see you on the next one.